Where do you think we change this welfare narrative within the sport?
Well, I do feel we've still got a major problem in the way in which we are training horses, which is also related to how we're breeding the horses as well. And we still see far too many horses working with their head behind the vertical from a very early stage in their training, which I think has deleterious consequences for the entire movement of the body and the development of the appropriate musculature, the development of the right neuromuscular pathways. So I think this tendency to work horses with their head behind the vertical position, which is very, very common in every discipline that I watch at all levels, is a major deleterious factor. And there have been studies, not done by myself, that have shown that at upper level dressage, there is an increased tendency for horses with their heads slightly behind the vertical to be better marked than the horses with their heads in front of the vertical. Or they're not being penalized. The dressage rules are very clear for all disciplines that the front of the head must be in a vertical position or slightly in front of the vertical position. And that should count for every single movement. But it's clear that horses are doing very well despite their heads being behind the vertical position. So I'm not saying they're being rewarded, but they're not being penalized adequately. And I think that this is something that if the judges were more accurate in judging what they see in front of them, and not just judging the rider, who may be a notable rider, but if they're judging what they see in front of them accurately, then the trainers and the riders would have to adapt the way their horses are being worked in order to be able to achieve better marks. It's probably not going to make a huge difference with respect to the order in which people finish.
Yes.
But if you look at Grand Prix dressage now, you will see perhaps the first 2 or 3 may work with their head in a vertical position, and all the rest will have their heads behind the vertical, and the head will go further behind the vertical in passage and pirouettes, and sometimes canter pirouettes as well. So piaffe, passage, they find more biomechanically difficult, and their heads go further and further behind the vertical position. And so if that was penalized more strongly, I think it would encourage better training. And I personally think that would probably enhance the longevity of many horses.